How's it going, everybody? This is the first video on the channel. I know, right? So I'm probably, a newbie out there for a lot of you. My name is GoryPlains344, and I'm going to be doing a lot of like Yu-Gi-Oh type content on this channel in the upcoming future. And one thing that I just want to say is I broke the deck. I actually broke Synchron. And that a lot of people could be like, oh, that's a clickbait. Bro, I'm just like, shut the fuck up. Let me talk, okay? Let me explain how I did that, okay? So you can see it's like your usual average list, like your we're gonna go over card by card, and then we're going to wait until we get to the extract to kind of explain how, because you already see there's 13 slots. We're missing 2. I'm going to explain that to you here momentarily, but we're going to kind of go through the ratios and stuff like that and kind of explain what's going on and stuff like that. But it's basically like your just average Synchron list. Most of this is inspiration from 037 Wolf, except for the 2 cards in the extract that I feel you need to be playing if you're going to be playing this deck. And there are a lot of reasons why. So you've got your 3 Dawnwalker as well as your Fire Ant. This is literally easy setup for Chaos Ruler, and it can also just make an Omega if you draw into it later on after your combo and stuff for just a free level 8 Synchro and another draw. You've got your Stardust Synchron, literally probably the best card in the deck. This card's actually crazy and enables a bunch of stuff. Your Stardust Trail to go along with that, because this is also another free level 8 Synchro as well. And it could just also help out a lot with a bunch of different plays. Junk Synchron, honestly, I take that back. I think Junk Synchron is probably still the best card. Like, I mean, there's never a point where you don't want to see this card. You open it, awesome. You recover it, awesome. It's in your grave, awesome, because it's Synchro Overtake. It's just great. Caligo Clawcrow, an extender, just summons itself if you have a dark monster. Pretty self-explanatory. Doppel Warrior, if a monster summons from the graveyard, he summons himself. And then when he's sent to the graveyard as a sacred material, you can summon 2 tokens, and they're both level 1. Keep in mind, his first effect is a when. He can miss timing quite a bit, which can be annoying, but that's just something you have to learn when you start playing the deck. 3 Junk Converter. This card's actually insane. You pitch a tuner, so you can pitch like your Veiler, your Stardust Synchron, your Junk Synchron to add a Synchron from deck to hand, and it's always going to be Junk, because then you can just special the Junk Converter off of Junk, and it's literally your 1.5 card combo to get your speeder. Cyber Synchron. This is the other Synchro target that you want to get off of your speeder. It's a level 1 that can also treat itself as a level 2, which can actually come up a lot more than you think. And it also has another pretty cool effect. If your monster in the extra monster zone will be destroyed by battle card effect, you can banish this card from your grave instead, which actually acts as another form of protection, which is actually pretty cool. Your 3 effect mailer, you can add it off Chaos Ruler. It's not once per turn. You draw like 7 cards in the deck. There is never a point in time where seeing multiple of these in your hand at the end of your turn is ever a bad thing. So yeah, that's it for the main monsters. Triple Tack, card's broken. Card's actually insane. Going first, if they ash your speeder, you can choose to take another card out of your hand and get hand knowledge and kind of figure out what to do from there with your current hand, or you can just draw 2 more cards, because literally almost everything in here is an extender. If they ash your speeder and then you go into an Ascator, bruh, you actually can keep comboing off after that. That's literally what's happened to me multiple times, and this card is just actually such a powerhouse. Rhoda searches your Junk Converter, searches your Doppel Warrior, searches your Junk Synchron if you need that. It's too good to not play. Stardust Illumination is a good one-of, because it's searchable off of Synchron, and then you can Foolish the trail off of that. Monster board, self-explanatory. 3 Tuning, it's your searcher for your Synchron monsters, and Overtake is a searcher or a free special summon for your Junk Synchron. Never forget that this card also says from your deck or grave. You can recycle this, so you don't always have to keep using the ones that are in your deck. Called by the Grave, very good card. It helps stop your hand traps, and it also is another form of interruption if you draw into it later on. 3 Imperm, another form of interruption if you draw. You catch my drift, yeah. So for the Synchros, it's also pretty self-explanatory. You've got your Satellite Warrior, your main source of OTK. This is basically like your version of Access Code Talker. You have Hot Ray Dragon Archfiend Abyss. You can use Cyber Synchron and Chaos Ruler to make this card, and he's an Omni Negate. And also has another cool effect that actually has come up quite a bit when it inflicts battle damage. Special summon a tuner. Doesn't restrict it to anything, so if you want to bring back your frickin' Axel Synchron, go ahead for it, buddy, Chaos Ruler searches for your extenders, searches for your Doppel Warrior. It's great. Can put Stardust Synchron in grave, can put Junk Converters in grave. It's just a great card. Crystal Wing, another form of negation. Omega, another form of interaction in the form of banishing a card and stuff, and can also, while it is a form of hand removal, it can return your Chaos Ruler. If you use the banish effect to bring himself back and then he's banished, it can return him, so you can keep recycling it. Stars Charge Warrior, another draw. Junk Warrior, you need to play 1 for Overtake. This card's too good to not maximize on. It's literally another form of extension if you draw into it later on, because let's say you don't have a level 3 tuner, and you have your Hyper Librarian still on board. I don't know why that's kind of out of order like that. You just activate Overtake, summon a Junk Synchron, then just turn that into a Crystal Wing. You see, it's too good to not play. Your TG Hyper Librarian, your main source of draw power, there's no reason to not play this card. Junk Speeder, the best card in the deck, and also has another effect when an attack is declared involving this card that was synchro summoned. Another monster, its attack becomes double. Sometimes that actually does come up. It becomes a 3600 beater, which is pretty cool. But it's the main effect that lets you summon summon as many Synchron tuners as possible at different levels from your deck. It's great. It locks you into synchros. Oh no. Excel Synchron, this card's also fantastic. Lets you Foolish Burial something to increase or decrease its level, and then during the main phase you can synchro with it, which usually turns into a Satellite Warrior pop during their turn, which is crazy. Herald, an Omni Negate, Martial Meta Marcher, and Celestial Double Star Shaman are both 2 good extenders to play. Now you probably are noticing I'm not playing Quandax, nor am I playing a Dawn Dragster in the form of a 7. Let me explain why. So I'm gonna go ahead, we're gonna cut to when I show the 2 cards that we are going to be putting into the extra deck, and I will explain in detail why you need to be playing these cards. So as you can see, down in the side deck, we have Flower Guardian Moonflower Viewing and Flower Guardian Boardafly. Now, people are probably wondering, how the heck are you gonna make this? It's like 1 tuner, 2 non-tuner monsters. That's like next to impossible. You're wrong. So in the standard combo line that you make with this deck, there is the point where Celestial Double Star Shaman brings back a Doppel Warrior and a Junk Converter from the graveyard, meaning that you have 3 level 2s on your board. Now, usually you would do that to go into Martial Meta Marcher, get your Abyss and stuff, and while this version of the deck, playing these 2, can cut your negates down by 2, so instead of like 5, it would be 3 or maybe even 2, the trade-off is insane, and let me explain why. So Moonflower Viewing, once you summon this, once during the main phase, you can draw a card, and if you do, show it. Then if it's a Guardian monster, you can special summon it, ignoring its summoning conditions, and it can attack directly. Notice how it doesn't have the mill. It's just an additional draw. So you have TG, you draw off of the summon, you draw another card. The only downside is your opponent knows what it is, but that also doesn't matter. It's just another free draw. And the last line of text on this is important. When this card is used as Synchro material, you can treat it and all other Synchro materials that have a level as level 2 monsters. So if you do the line with Celestial Double Star Shaman, what you do is you use the 2 tokens that you're gonna get off of Doppel Warrior, you make them both a level 2, and then you make this card, Flower Guardian Boardafly. This card is insane. The biggest issue with this deck is, of course, being locked into only Synchro monsters. So a lot of good side type cards like Abyss Dweller, you don't get access to. This fixes that. Flower Guardian Boardafly requires a tuner plus 2 non-tuners. Moonflower plus the 2 tokens equals a level 6 due to its effect. Once per turn, you banish a Guardian monster from your graveyard, your Moonflower, until the end of your opponent's next turn. Your opponent cannot activate the effects of cards in the graveyard, nor can they special summon monsters from the graveyard by any means. What more do I say? What more do I say, guys? Like, actually, like, it's insane. And it's not like it's inconsistent. Out of every 10 hands, 9 of them I've made the end board, even though sometimes it's only like 1 negate, but you're still drawing like 6 cards. Keep in mind, you're drawing like 6 cards. That's still a negation that you have, plus your opponent's graveyard is shut down for that turn. Almost every single meta deck relies on their graveyard to actually do something. What does Tri-Brigade do if they can't resolve their Fractal? What does Virtual World do if they can't, get their searching off and stuff like that, and they can't special from the graveyard? What does Prank Kids do when they normal summon a monster and they can't get the effects off of their prey kits when they're used for material for summons? What does Drytron do when they can't use their Ben 10? They can't use any of their Drytron monsters in the graveyard. Nothing. I personally believe that this is light years ahead of playing Quandax and like a Dawn Dragster, because even though you can end on more negations if you go the standard combo line, I feel negations don't matter in some instances compared to the form of stun that Boardafly provides, because you literally, what do? I mean, they can't activate their Tri-Brigade stuff. I mean, you pitch Fractile, you're not going to get your effect. So they have one monster engrave. They have to have a normal summon, and they have to have multiple forms of extension. And if they have the Rescue Cat, you negate the Rescue Cat with your Crystal Wing, or your Herald, or your Abyss. See what I mean? It's like it's a very strong thing. And then you're also getting an additional draw off of it in the form of Moonflower. Granted, you do skip your next draw phase. That does not matter, because the follow-up that you have for the next turn with multiple cards in hand is you're guaranteed a Satellite Warrior, no matter what, because you have your Chaos Ruler in the graveyard, and all you need is just any way to get to Satellite Synchron, which is just a Junk Synchron, which you have multiple ways of getting to him. Oh my god, my allergies, dude. But yes, like, genuinely, I believe that this is revolutionary for the deck, because the deck had a hard focus for stun. It doesn't do anything besides set up a bunch of negations. And what does Dark Ruler do against your deck? It shits on you. You die. If someone Dark Rulers or Forbidden Droplets you and you just have a bunch of Chunguses to negate, you most likely just die. I mean, yeah, you might have Effect Veiler and Imperms and stuff like that as well. But what does that do if they Forbidden Drop Dark Ruler and then Lightning Storm? Nothing. You die. You literally lose the game from that situation. If they do that to you, but you have Boardafly, they're still gonna have to pass their turn. Because what can they do? Like, even decks like Shaddoll Dogmatica, you send a Herald to the graveyard off of Nadir, you send an Apt Cologne, it's not getting its effect. There's a lot of decks in the game currently, unless you're going against like Mystic Mindburn, can't play around this card. It's insane, and it's so easy for the deck to pull off, because every combo line that you want to try and go to uses Celestial Double Star Shaman. And almost all the time, you have 2 level 2 monsters in the form of your Caligo Claw, Doppel Warrior, or your Junk Converter. Or if it's just 2 Doppel Warrior tokens on the field. And it doesn't have to be the tokens either. Keep in mind, Moonflower says any monster gets treated as level 2 that has a level. So if you have just an extra, if you have Chaos Ruler on board and a Hyper Librarian, you could sync those off from Boardafly and lock them out. You could literally start a Synchron, tribute something, bring the Trail back, use the Trail as material to make it a level 2. You can make, it's just, you can use Ascator, Dawnwalker if you really want to. You can use Herald, you can use Speeder. It's so many different lines that you can take to guarantee this resolving, that it's just so good. It's powerful. It's something that the deck was lacking. And it also helps in the terms of siding as well, because I mean, it frees up a bunch of side space as well in some instances, because of the fact that it's just graveyard stuff is what your deck kind of struggles with, because you don't have a lot of ways to interact with their grave effects besides Crystal Wing, Herald, and Called By. That's about it. Like, I mean, against Drytron, they just keep recycling their cards in the graveyard. If you Crystal Wing one Drytron monster, odds are they're probably still gonna extend. Against Boardafly, they have to end their turn. Like, they literally cannot do anything against this card. They can't recycle the spell either. It's just so important. Here, I'll go ahead and we're gonna jump into some test tools, some test stands, and I'm gonna show you guys kind of what I made by a standard combo line. I'll go ahead and we'll jump right into it. Now we are here, and this is this is actually pretty freaking cracked for a first hand, dude. Okay, all right. So we're gonna fire off this copy of Junk Converter, and I'll kind of go to the usual start of the combo line, but I'll kind of explain it in case you're a little bit newer to the deck, so you guys gotta get a little bit of a better understanding. So Junk Converter will pitch the Star Synchron. This is like the dream team right here. Getting those two off is actually insane. So then we're going to fire off our Junk Synchron, and Junk Synchron will let us get this copy of Junk Converter from the grave to the field. Then we got lucky and drew 2 Doppel, which is actually kind of crazy, but we're only going to necessarily need 1 for this. So then what we're going to do here is we're not going to use the Doppel. You never want to use the Doppel in this situation because you will see why. And we're not going to use the Converter either. You want to save that. You're going to get a Junk, a Cybers, and a Stardust. Bada bing, bada bang, bada boom. Then Stardust will go ahead and get you a copy of Illuminate. Then, before you do anything else, you're going to fire off Illuminate because you want to get the level modulation going. You're going to send Trail, just as like another form of an extender later on in the turn if you so desire. Then we're going to fire off Illuminate, targeting the Synchron and making its level go down by 1. Because it has a grave effect, you can banish it to level modulate a Stardust monster. We're going to make him a 3, and then 3 and 2. With these 2, we'll make ourselves our copy of Hyper Librarian. Then a Doppel Warrior will trigger, letting us get 2 tokens. So we're also going to keep an eye on how many times we draw throughout the standard combo as well, because that's good to know. So from now, we're going to go ahead and make the Chaos Roller. Now this is looking like the standard typical combo play, because now you're going to get a bunch of like the free advantage. Chaos Roller can get us an Effect Veiler, an Extender, whatever we need technically for the hand. Milling the Ascator actually kind of sucks because you have no way of getting it back, but it's fine. We don't really need the Extender right now, I don't believe. I think the Veiler is going to sit just fine in our hand. And then TG will let us get a draw. We drew the Crow anyways. Okay, perfect. Then what we're going to do here is we're going to do the Celestial Double Star Shaman play. And basically, Double Star lets you bring any number of level 2 monsters from your hand or graveyard, but they have to be non-tuners, of course. We're going to bring back the 2 that we use in graveyard because we're going to kind of pretend our hand right now is non-existent. Like we don't have any other cards in our hand. And I mean, we drew another Veil off of DG. That's cool. So then this is the usual combo. You go into Martial Metal Marcher, and then this is where we differentiate. Usually you bring back Cyber Synchron to go into an Abyss to get a draw, then you make Excel, and then you proceed to use Junk Converter to bring back the Martial Metal Marcher, you get a Crystal Wing, stuff like that. However, this time we're going to bring back the Double Star Shaman. We get another draw off of TG, which is great, and now we have 3 level 2s, so this enables our Moonflower viewing. So now we get another draw off of TG. We're going to only activate the Doppel Warrior. You're not going to use your Junk Converter. You're not really going to get a chance to, unfortunately. But that is perfectly okay for the trade-off that we're about to get. So we get a draw. We draw an Imperm. Moonflower, we activate the effect. We skip our next draw phase. We get another draw. But they now know that we have a triple tech. So the tokens are level 1, but due to Moonflower's effect, we're going to get this copy of Boardifly onto the board. And then we get an additional draw. So then we activate the copy of Boardifly, banishing the Moonflower until the end of the next turn. Affected by Flower Guardian Boardifly. Cannot activate effects of cards in the graveyard or special summon monsters from the graveyard. That is, and if you look at our hand, right now, if you look at the game state that we currently have, we still have Stardust Synchron, which is in a free Omega, right? We still have Martial Metal Marcher and TG, which is a free level 8 for a Crystal Wing, right? We still have Caligo Crow. We still have Doppel Warrior. We have so much continuation into our combo. So let's just kind of keep going like it's a regular showcase. And let's just kind of see the type of board that we could potentially end up with here. Because then we can do this. Bada bing. Go into our copy of Excel right here. TG gets us another draw. And then we could fire off Stardust Synchron Engrave, attributing the Chaos Ruler. And then Trail will come out as well. And we can go ahead and make ourselves a copy of Omega right here, which will get us another draw. And then what we can go ahead and do here as well is, let's see, what are we feeling? So many different things I could do. It's actually crazy. Like, this is also kind of the predicament is you have so many different combo lines, dude, that there's actually, but if we're going to play, let's say like we're going to play safe, again, we're going to kind of pretend that the cards in our hand aren't necessarily there at the moment. What we can do is you could fire off this copy of Excel Synchron. You can go ahead and let's just send a junk Synchron to grave, decrease its level. He is now a whopping level 2. And then you can bring back this copy of Chaos Ruler, getting rid of, let's say, a junk Synchron. And what's in our graveyard? We could get rid of the double star that's currently in our graveyard to bring this guy back. And then we have follow-up for days. But I'll go ahead and, because what I should have done was I could have made a Crystal Wing before. So we'll go ahead and just kind of show this off. So basically, with those two, you would have access to your satellite. You wouldn't get the draw, so this Veiler is non-existent. But then you could fire off the Synchro Overtake before you do that play. To get your junk Synchron, you special summon it. And then you could have triggered the Doppelwars if you wanted to, but for the sake of simplicity, we're just going to go for Crystal Wing. So to kind of show what you have, right? So you have a form of hand removal. You'd be able to return something besides the first two to the grave. So if you want to return your Trail Flare for all up, you can do that. You have a Satellite Warrior setup of how many pops? 4. You have a pop 4, a Monster Negate, 2 Veilers in hand, plus an Imperm. And keep in mind, this last Veiler we technically weren't supposed to draw. But yeah, so you have 4 forms of monster interaction. A pop 4 setup, an Omega hand rip, plus an unbelievable amount of follow-up for the next turn. And they have to somehow completely wipe your board and kill you while also under the effect of Board of Fly, meaning that they cannot activate effects of cards in the graveyard or special summon monsters from the graveyard. And keep in mind, I probably played this the most unoptimal way ever, because there's a million players out there that are probably better at me than this deck. But that is just like a showcase of how insane those 2 card difference in the extra deck is, because of the fact that, I mean, let's say that instead of Board Fly, it was like Abyss and a Dawn Dragster, right? This is still a lot to go through, but a single Dark Ruler no more, kind of die. I mean, you kind of fizzle, and it's just unfortunate. But Board of Fly, I feel, adds another level of very strong interaction to the deck that it didn't have before, and that's just kind of like my advocation for it, honestly. I just want to kind of show the difference in the main combo line for you guys, to kind of showcase the power of just this 2-card change in the extra deck that can really get you some insane advantage and really throw people for a loop, because literally nobody is expecting this. And from what I've seen, I am the first person to do this. That's probably wrong. Someone's probably thought of it before, but I'm the first person on YouTube to have actually sat through and done this, because I love Flower Guardians as a deck, and the first thing I thought of was Moonflower Viewing is generic. Board of Fly is generic. And there you go. But yeah, that's about it for this video. If you guys enjoyed, be sure to leave a like, maybe even subscribe. That would be freaking fantastic. And if you guys have any other decks you want me to try and mess with and do some other crazy things, or if you want like maybe some more combo showcases with this deck, then leave a comment down below. But anyways, guys, again, I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.